Hi everyone, and welcome back to Project No Buy. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Labubus and I guess share my 2 cents on the Labubu trend as somebody who did actually buy them, despite being somebody who's trying not to buy things this year. So again, I'm going to try to speak my truth here and tell myself and you out there, but again, this is mostly for me, that although up to this point of this year, the first 6 months of the year, we were trying not to buy things and not necessarily succeeding, but at this point, 6 months in, we are going to do the no-buy year and go until July of 2026, projecting that into the universe. After reflecting on what happened in the month of June, and kind of having observed, again, lab rat to scientist, what happened in myself throughout May, I guess, May and June, when I first kind of started being interested in Labubus and the whole trend. We will be looking at some TikToks later here to kind of show what I mean when I communicate some of these points. But it struck me that although progress has been made, even in the imperfection of my no-buy year in 2024 and the first 6 months of 2025, progress has been made in terms of realizing what products that it's absolutely silly to partake in. So again, kind of reflecting on the video right before this, where I talked about things that I don't use every day that are often pitched as must-haves or sold online to the extent that we have more than one option, and realizing that it actually takes me 2 years to use up a face wash and things like this, and realizing that to buy and to want things in these categories is just ridiculous. It's kind of ludicrous. It doesn't make sense, nonsensical. And then even to some extent getting there with categories like clothing and books, which were problematic for me before. I don't actually know that I've bought a single book this year so far. And again, I can go back to my journals and my Notion documents here for each month and see whether or not that's true. And I know I've failed in terms of clothing, right? I got a lot of clothing in January around my birthday and got a few pieces even as recently as last month. And I know that although clothing was purchased, and January was perhaps still kind of on the tail end of making more of those mistakes, June was perhaps less so in that some of these were kind of replacement adjacent or very tried and true kind of proof of concept pieces. But regardless, I do feel a shift in that I am not interested in engaging in the trend cycle or pursuing elevated personal style, a style evolution, in other words. And so there are categories, these main categories actually, of consumable goods that I used to partake in and chase and kind of cultivate desires in, that I no longer do that with. And instead, I have pivoted onto these things that have no purpose. And for me in particular, these are mainly the Labubus and the string thing, which is the Instagram ad that got served to me. Maybe I'll find it and put it here so you can at least see what I'm talking about. But, this thing that has arguably no purpose or very little utilitarian purpose. And again, even the Labubus have served as toys. So I know they're not actually toys, they're collectible items, but I, in my practical life, have used them to play with the other people in my life that also enjoy Labubus at this stage. But these are things that are purchased for the joy of them, for the community, I guess, for the collective aspect. And in the case of the blind box format, which is not how I partook in them, but it is how these products are presented, that is kind of part of the appeal. And I guess I wanted to talk about this aspect in particular because while I was engaged in my brief involvement with the Labubus and Labubu culture, just in the phases of acquiring some myself, I did frequent the Reddit page, the Reddit community for Labubus, and I noticed a few patterns. And I guess incidentally, I was also being served shorts of this content on YouTube because I don't scroll TikTok in my free time. And for whatever reason, Instagram didn't catch on. I don't know if it's a separate algorithm or what, but I don't think I ever saw any Labubu-centric content on Instagram, which is interesting. I tell a lie. I think I saw a collab between Labubu and Stanley. I think I even took a screenshot of it because the ad was so ridiculous or funny in my eyes. It was like a Stanley covered in Labubus. I was like, oh, this is definitely consumerism final boss material here. Anyway, I was seeing the shorts, I was seeing the Reddit community, and I was noticing the pattern of so many people, so many comments, so many videos wanting a particular one so bad. This was the exact wording, right? Like, I want this one so bad. And people describing that they would do anything to get a Labubu, or what do we have to do to get one, and etc. You know, expressing this desire, this strong desire, this desire that I used to feel all the time, so intensely that I remember in regards to things like the makeup products, the clothing, the purses, the other things, you know, shoes, other things that I used to buy too many of, books in some cases, although perhaps to a lesser extent since books aren't really known to be exclusive and sell out, right? Like the FOMO marketing isn't quite there in the same way. But for the month of, you know, late May, early June, I was gripped as well by this obsession, this temporary insanity, and engaged in the same kind of desire loop in a way of like, I want this one so bad. I want this thing so bad. Like I said, I didn't engage in the blind box aspect myself because the way we got some Labubus in our house was to get a full set off of StockX. And at the time that we purchased, it actually wasn't that far above the retail, especially the new retail after they raised prices. But it was under $200. And so, you know, they hadn't exploded in popularity yet, quite to the extent that they have now, and you're paying a lot more. And so, you know, I do have limits as far as what I would pay to get them resale. And then when we were getting them on Mercari, they were still under $40. So, you know, the single ones that we got from the other series. And again, you know, these are in my kids' makeshift Labubu cardboard house. I shared a picture of it as well in the June update, I think. We're not too precious about them. I will eventually probably take some of them out and about on my bags when the trend dies down, because I don't necessarily want to signal participation in the social hype about them. Like, it's, you know, it's kind of something that's backfired on me, and the greatest enjoyment that I've been getting out of the Labubus is simply having them and looking at them and playing with them as toys, incidentally, rather than as the bag charms that they were maybe kind of designed to be. Although I have actually had a history of bag charms. So in my video where I showcased all of my purses, I did get some comments actually. Incidentally, the bag charms that I already had on my bags were tiny Beanie Babies. So again, another consumerist craze back from my childhood. Although I never really fell too hard into the Beanie Babies craze, I did have a small collection of Beanie Babies, but as a kid, I think to me they were just like any other stuffed animal. I didn't engage in the collection mentality in the same way. I don't know if adults were doing it, but that's not how it was for me. And actually, my parents did save a fair amount of my Beanie Babies, and my kids now play with them. So it's not something that lacks longevity, at least in my personal life, despite being a collectible item. And for me, as long as these Labubu toys last, it'll be the same, where I'm not looking to declutter them after the interest and hype dies down. And again, despite having comments about how these charms detracted from the looks of my handbag, I persisted in wearing them, and I do still feel okay about having these on my bags because, again, it's not hyper trendy right now. And again, I don't want to be flashing products everywhere, but I just kind of wanted to illustrate my point there about having at least some proof of concept for the original intended purpose of these Labubu charms. Now, this is not a justification video. This is not a, this is why I bought them on what was supposed to be a no-buy challenge. I have already kind of said that there's no justification for it. I just didn't act in line with my values, and the only way out is up and forward, and we are truly doing no buy July and taking it, I guess, in shorter increments at a time and prioritizing the savings for the why. So there will be no purchasing of things that aren't planned for, and there will also be no purchasing of things if the savings goals aren't being met. So no buy year aside, that is still my lofty aspiration, just to be able to say that I've done it. But other than that, there will be practical measures in place. I think I'm going to go into this earlier in August, depending on how the rest of No Buy July unfolds. But we'll come back to that later. Back to Labubus. It just was a very curious phenomenon to me to observe how I'm able to consume all of this influencing type of content, right? The must-haves, the fashion trends, the makeup, and there are moments of desire. There was even a moment recently where I saw some lipstick that a colleague at work was wearing in real life, right? In person. I saw this lipstick. It looked amazing on her, and we have kind of similar complexions and skin tones. And I did actually ask her what it was. It was a particular, I won't mention it here, but it was a particular lip product, and I did think about trying it. And then I read some reviews that were kind of like not that great and was very quickly de-influenced. But at the same time, it was like, oh, here's a product with proof of concept. I see somebody with it. She likes it. You know, she says it looks good on our skin tones. And I like how it looks on her. Like, she looks amazing. So maybe I should try it. And I still have those fleeting moments, but it's not that difficult. On a scale of 1 to 10, it might be like 3 out of 10, like, ooh, I'm interested. I don't really need it. I have lip options. I'm not actively looking for more. I don't think my life will be drastically improved by having 5 colors I can put on my lips instead of 4, you know, just throwing out arbitrary numbers. And I still have lip products that I want to use up. I want my collection to go down in number and not up. When I run out of a lip product and have an opening in my vacancy, right, I can advertise for that and start looking at products then. Maybe that's the time to revisit this. I'm probably not going to forget what it was. If I do, I still will know this person and I can ask her and maybe she can help me out there. But it's not something that I needed to buy, and the desire, attraction level, the obsession, I guess you could call it, was a low enough level that it wasn't difficult for me to say, okay, I can wait, or I don't really need it. Maybe I should save this $16 or whatever it was. I don't actually know how much the product was. I didn't get that deep into it, right? Again, it's a sign that I don't know these details. You know, like I'm having what I would consider a healthy relationship with things that I'm interested in every other realm except these things that I don't actually need, that nobody actually needs, that are just purchased on the basis of joy, right? The silly little things, the labubus, and the trend-hyped items that nobody can get. There's this scarcity marketing, this FOMO, and this element of gambling that I think feeds that I want this so bad feeling in people that are buying them in the blind box format. So in my experience getting the labubus, I did find out that you can purchase them in multiple ways. So there's the getting a full set of 6, which after the price increase is $167 or $168 to get 6 of these toys. So they're expensive, right? They're not toy price toys. They're not something you would get for your kids. They are definitely kind of, I mean, people who like them say that they're art collectibles. And I am not here to argue that today. I'm not, that's not the purpose of this video, but they're out of the price point of children's toys. And that is the way that you get the full set of each of the 6 variations. And you have a chance of getting the secret one that's 1 out of 72 instead of one of those regular 6. And so that's one of those things that some people try to chase after, right? The secret version that's 1 out of 72. And I guess on those odds, you would have to purchase, 12 cases to have a guaranteed, or, it's not even guaranteed then, but to have the odds in your favor of, you would have 72 labubus, and the odds there is that you would get 1 out of 72. So 12 cases, 12 times $168 or whatever is what the odds are in terms of getting the labubu you want. Now, the way to get them on the website, you can buy them in cases or you can buy them in singles. But if you buy single boxes, you could get duplicates in that order. So let's just say you buy 3 single boxes. They're not necessarily from the same set. You're not guaranteed to get different ones. You could get 3 of the same, or 2 of the same, 1 of another. You could get a duplicate, in other words. You could still get the secret one, you never know. Then they also have what's called Pop Now. The creator of all these collectibles is called Pop Mart, the company. And so when you do Pop Now, you can choose 1 out of the 6 that's presented in the case or whatever it is, and you can get a hint. So it'll tell you 2 options that it is not. And so if you're trying to target a specific one, you would then know that it's not these 2 and it's one of these 4. So I guess your odds of getting the one you want are slightly better, or the odds of getting the secret are slightly better, although the secret is still lower in chance. The other thing that I did notice, though, is if you go on the Labubu Reddits and TikToks and whatever, the posts you see of people getting the secret might lead you to believe that they're more common than the 1 in 72 odds. But the reason for that isn't because they're actually that common. It's because the people who are posting because they got the secret, if that makes sense, right? So this isn't based on any data. This is just based on my own logic. If you are into Labubus and you get a secret, you're going to post about it, and that post is probably going to get popular because it'll make other people think they can get the secret as well. So it's like that gambling aspect, that drumming up that feeling of, oh, I want that so bad. I want that to be me. I want to have that success of finding that elusive one that's supposed to be rare. So basically that's how it works. And there is some social awareness on the craze of the Labubus and how people didn't want them until they saw them and then they became obsessed. So let's see a few of these examples now.
What the is a Labubu? What the is a Labubu?
So assuming I can play that sound, but basically it was the audio of like, what the bleep is a Labubu? And then this guy showing a week later or whatever it is, me a month ago, and then now having Labubus and dancing along with the Labubu song or whatever. And he's not the only one posting things like this. Like there are so many posts like this, me not knowing what it was, and then a week later having a bag covered in 20 Labubus. Let's go to another one here.
Things are bad. The Labubus have gotten to me. I want a Labubu so badly. This kind of happened out of nowhere. You asked me on Monday how I felt about them. I would have told you I don't care, don't want it. I felt nothing. Now it's Thursday and something happened. Like, I don't know, I'm bewitched. Like, do the Labubus have magic? The only Pop Mart close to me is a kiosk in the mall. A kiosk isn't gonna have a Labubu. I mean, maybe, will it? Do I go? And I just want one. I really want the Big Into Energy series. Do I A, go check the kiosk, or B, go ahead and buy one on like StockX or eBay? I feel crazy. Oh my God.
So I guess reflecting on my own desire for a Labubu, it was more like this, I guess. You know, like I can't project onto other people, but this creator is talking about how they want a Labubu so bad, you know, again, verbatim quotes, and they just found out about them on Monday. It was Thursday. So it wasn't necessarily the same in that I found out about them, you know, maybe it was the same as the first creator where I had maybe about a month of thinking about it. And it struck when I was down as far as making the purchase, when I threw out my back and had that pain and was dealing with other things in my life. But the sentiment is the same, where the desire was at 0, and then all of a sudden it was at 10, you know, 10 out of 10 desire. You know, we're not talking about a 3 out of 10 makeup product or clothing piece. And I know I also bought some clothing pieces in June, but those to me, and again, I know I'm living my life and I'm the one inside here, those felt different. It didn't feel like a desire-driven purchase, except for maybe the concert black skirt. But then again, you know, I did immediately use it and I was grateful to have it and am grateful that I will continue to wear it next season. You know, like I will be at work slightly more, and so there are some practical elements to that purchase, whereas with the Labubus there are no practical elements. So I'm gonna steer the conversation back in the direction of these specific products, these specific Labubus, this specific desire. But again, the desire was 10 out of 10 for no rational reason. And just like this creator was saying, you know, like we're bewitched. We want them for reasons that we can't even put our fingers on, or if we can, it's not something that makes sense even in our own minds. And again, you know, like I perhaps flatter myself to think that not all of you out there would assume that I'm a stupid person or somebody with generally low facility for self-reflection or logical thinking. You might, I mean, that's fair as well. But I don't think it's just based on human intelligence. I think there's factors here that play into the manipulation of our desires and how we want things, and how these kinds of products are effective in making us essentially pull the trigger and give into our irrational desires in a way. In a way that rational purchases cannot, rational products cannot do, if that makes sense, right? It's almost the fact that it's so nonsensical, so ridiculous, so trendy, and so hyped that, you know, there's no justification for it, but there's also no easy way to talk yourself out of it, or at least in my opinion, in my experience, right? Like there's that element as well. Let's just take the Stanley Cup, for example. If you already have a cup, if you already have a water bottle, you objectively do not need a Stanley. You have something that fulfills the same purpose. And okay, you can say the same thing with my bag charms, right? I have something that fulfills the same purpose, hangs on my bags, it's a cute plush charm. But I don't even know that it's fair to say that that is the one purpose of a Labubu. And therefore, if you don't get it, you have something that fulfills the purpose already. Like, I don't know that it's able to be justified, and therefore it's not able to be anti-justified, if that makes sense. Like, you know it's a stupid purchase when you buy a Labubu, right? Again, like these other creators are saying, like, we're bewitched, why do I want one? This is dumb, like, what am I gonna do with it? Some people even think they're ugly and still buy them. And I just think that that's part of it, right? Like, you can't go to your makeup collection and say, I already have too many products to use up in my makeup collection. You can't go to your wardrobe and say, I already have a skirt. Why do I need to buy another one? I guess if you're already a Pop Mart collector and you have the specific pendants, or if you already have Labubus and you're just talking about getting more. But then again, most people don't collect the duplicates, right? Like, you're not going to be here with 10 of the same color, because that would be, again, each to their own, right? Each person picks their own poison. Maybe there are people out there with 5 of the same color Stanley, but I think people are collecting because of the different colors, the different variations. And it's the same thing with the Labubus, right? They're not collecting the same color. I guess it's the same with lipsticks and clothes too, but for me, I guess there has been a switch that flipped where if something serves a purpose, like a lipstick, right? You wear it, and if you don't wear it and wear it out even, for people to see, then you're not really using it for its purpose. And for me, the Labubus, the bag charm use is secondary. So if that's your firm belief that it's a bag charm that gets used and is seen by other people, then perhaps my argument about the makeup and clothing stands for you. But for me, it's just one of those silly purchases that doesn't really have a purpose, and therefore was harder for me to justify myself out of that 10 out of 10 level desire. Anyway, let's do some more reflection on that desire to have a specific one, and we'll check in with another creator here on TikTok. So this is a creator who is looking for particular ones and keeps getting duplicates.
Does anybody still need or want soy milk? I said I wasn't gonna do Pop Now again.
So again, the Pop Now is where you can get hints about which one it's not, but you don't get to find out which one it is until you've actually purchased it. So that's what the Pop Now is.
I said I'm not doing this again, but I just need lychee berry and toffee to finish the set. That's it. That's all I need. And I keep pulling dupes. Today I pulled soy milk again. So if anybody needs soy milk and wants to trade me for toffee or lychee berry, I cannot keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. I pulled multiple of soy milk and multiple green grape. We all know Shannon. She's not in here right now, but I actually pulled 4 green grapes. I just lychee berry was the one that I wanted. That's why it all started, and I haven't gotten her yet. Does anybody want to trade me soy milk?
So exactly, this is the case study here. This person wanted one particular one, the pink one, and that's why it all started. Now she's got however many Labubus she just showed, 4 in the bag, some on that kind of hanging board, and keeps getting duplicates, soy milk, and then 4 of the green grape. And she's keeping on trying to get that pink one, and she's in too deep to go for the set of 6 now, because I guess at the beginning, right, you just want that one, and you think, when I get that one, I could be done. But she never got that one. And so it would have been cheaper for her to get the set of 6, to get the one she wanted, and then, you could resell the ones that you don't want, or maybe you do realize you want to have 6 of them, because clearly she's now got a collection. But it's one of those sneaky marketing tactics, I guess, or sales tactics that keeps people coming for more. It kind of, I would argue that it's actually addicting to people. And it's an emotional roller coaster. You can see that she's frustrated that she keeps getting the ones that she doesn't need when there's just that one last one that she actually needs. And the odds are 1 in 6 of getting each of the regular colors, right? We're not talking about the secret ones, but she is still not being lucky. And the emotional roller coaster of, I guess, having your hopes up each time you get one. And I guess on Pop Now you get the hints, right? So it kind of becomes a 1 in 4 chance because you eliminate 2 options, that the one you have is going to be the one you want. And so you can delude yourself into thinking, okay, this time it's going to be the pink one. This time it's going to be that one. This time it's going to be the one I want. I just need to buy one more. I told myself I wasn't going to do it anymore, but now I'm going to do it. And it's another one of the same. And so now she's trying to trade it for the pink one. And again, you could get it on a resale market. Some of these are pre-opened, and they tell you the color that they're going to be. Because again, there's so many people in this situation that get duplicates of one that they already have and not the last one that they want or they're looking for. And again, it addicts people, it keeps them buying, it makes them justify spending over retail or ridiculous prices. And again, speaking as somebody who did pay over retail for the initial set, I didn't participate in the blind box aspect. I didn't want to participate in that. I knew I would be getting multiple because there are at least 4 people in my house who are going to be using these things. And so to get 6 made sense. And we did actually end up getting a few more off of Mercari resellers again. And this was back when they were still in the $30 to between $30 and $40. And again, that was a markup I was prepared to pay to avoid trying to get them on the website directly. Because let me just show you before I waste too much time talking. There is a creator on here who shared her process of trying to get one on what's called Pop Now. And again, trying to get one on the regular web pages is one of those endeavors that's very tricky because they sell out immediately. And I think they've had some problems with bots, resellers using bots to reserve the boxes or buy them when the drops restock. So people try to get them on TikTok Live or Pop Now. And it's a time-consuming process, one that I was not interested in participating in. And once again, it reeks of privilege because it's one of those phenomenons where I would pay to avoid trying to join the rabble in getting one of these things. Like, I'm the queen here. I will pay you to get the duplicates and resell them to me because I don't want to participate in this peasantry of going to Pop Now and it's scrolling through the pages. And yeah, I'm privileged. I get it. Like, I can't deny it. I don't deny it. I don't want to give you the ick by openly speaking about it in this way. We're not wealthy. I'm definitely not generationally wealthy. And I should be making more financially smart decisions. Like, we're not in a place where that's something that's justified, I guess. Like, I'm not entitled to spend money this way. But nonetheless, there we are. It's part of the delusion of the Labubus right now. But anyway, this is what it looks like on Pop Now these days. And this is actually the least popular series. So there's the most chance of actually succeeding in getting one of these on Pop Now. So her experience here may be not what's typical in terms of actually getting a Labubu. But let's watch.
Apparently you guys really like watching me suffer on Pop Now, so here's a highly requested another video of me trying to get some Have a Seat Labubus on. Oh my god, that was a full set. I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself. I think a lot of you guys understand my pain with the Pop Now. It's just unnecessarily difficult. Okay. Wait! What? Okay, wait, it was taking over. Okay, it was taking forever to load. And then of course they were there. So then I went back. And then you guys keep telling me to just not go back, and like, I understand, but I'm telling you, if I don't, I also get clowned, and sometimes it is there. Okay, of course, why would it not be reserved? I do think it's smart to not go back, but sometimes it's just still there. And see, there was still that was my bad, guys. I need to lock in, please. I'm being so bad. I swear it's so much harder when I'm filming because obviously I'm talking and distracted. What? Okay, of course, one of the ones that I clicked was one of the only ones that wasn't there. Are we serious right now? Like, how unlucky can you get? Have a Seats are like the easiest. Oh my god, I got one. Yes, shake for hands. Not ZZ, not Baba. Add to cart, add to cart. I do always try and get a second one just because I want free shipping, because it's so much more worth it that way. Oh, I just skipped one. Oh my god. They're so easy to skip, especially when it's just one tucked in the back row like that. It's like, as soon as my mind starts wandering, there will suddenly be one there. I'll be so locked in. Gray, and then as soon back left hits again. Yes. All right, we got not ZZ, not Baba. I'm gonna vote that it's Hee, but I'm hoping it's Dada, but I'm just gonna vote Hee. If you've been watching my unboxings, you know I'm cursed by QQ and Hee, but I really want Dada. Who is it? Bruh. Box 2, we got not Hee and not CC. I'm feeling that this is my Dada, but I'm gonna go big and I'm gonna vote secret because I don't know, something feels really good about this box. Come on. Where is my Dada? Where is she? I can't do it anymore, guys. I can't do it anymore. I'm going insane.
So again, we touched on a lot of the elements here, like the emotional roller coaster is there, the pursuit of one specific one and not getting it is there. I guess you can find out which one it is before you actually get it to your house, but I think you have to buy it in order to like commit to buying or pay for it even before you get to find out and draw the little pattern. Again, I haven't purchased them this way, so I don't actually know. The same creator has been chronologuing her saga of trying to find this particular one. So we'll check in with that as well and just kind of observe the inner workings of the Labubu marketing scheme, I guess, blind boxes in general.
Today we're starting my new series called Where the is Dada. I have opened so many Have-A-Seats, you guys, like way more than macarons. It makes sense I don't have the secret, there's no surprise there, but where the heck is the pink? Let's open 4 crispy boxes and hope that she's in here. Let's start on the left today. I actually haven't opened a Have-A-Seat in a while, so I'm very excited right now. Yes, stop yelling at me, you'll get to see first, okay? Oh. Open eyes? Open eyes. Dada, please. Oh, it's QQ. Wait, I love QQ. QQ to me is like the second cutest one, maybe. I keep getting comments that my Labubus are fake. I only buy directly from Pop Mart. I'm not including the marketplace incident. All right, bag 2, give me Dada.
Okay, we're gonna speed through this because I don't want to unnecessarily expose people to Labubu unboxings. But, you know, skipping to the end of this, outcome here, she does not get the one she's looking for. She actually gets 2 of 2 different ones, so duplicates. And, you know, incidentally, I do think this is a creator who has started making a career, you know, making income from unboxing Pop Mart figures and plushies, you know, not just these, but all kinds of different figurines, blind boxes. And so, you know, this is somebody who is getting some kind of compensation for doing this. I mean, maybe the collection was the original motivating factor, but who knows if the continuation of it is for the content or for the collecting. Let's go to the next video. I won't spoil it for you, but here we go.
Where the f is Dada? Episode 5. After 2 CCs and 2 more QQs last video, I was ready to quit. But then Pop Mart dropped some and I was suddenly fine. So today we have 3 more crispy boxes to open. I've now opened a total of 13 Have-A-Seats on this series with 0 pink. I think I'm gonna go with the middle. Please let today be the day. Closing my eyes because you guys love to torture me and see before me. Okay. Who is it? I can't wait. Oh my! I'm in shock! Wow, she looks so evil on the camera and so harmless in person. Why is that? Oh, there, with the close-up, you see how she looks in person. I knew today was gonna be a good day! Well, let's keep going. What if one of these is a secret? Can you imagine? This would be the best opening ever. I'm not gonna guess if this is the secret. I'm gonna say that this is Hiki with my luck. Alright. Feel the face. I'm back to feeling face. Oh, eyes open. Okay, I'm gonna say that this is QQ then. There's no way. Finally, my dupe curse did me a solid. Okay. Wow, okay. Last one. Give me your energy that this is the secret, guys. That would be freaking amazing, honestly. Okay, there's the back. Wait, it feels really soft. Is this a secret? Okay, what the hell? There's no way. Someone's rearranging these or something. I love when it's the curse in a positive way. Suddenly, I just don't believe it. I've gotten a million I didn't want, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, wow, this feels like a really abrupt end to the series. I've never gotten to pick which one I want to keep before. I'm gonna keep the one that felt extra fluffy to me. Here's my full set. But I am missing the secret. Shall we hunt for that next?
No. I mean, I guess, again, if she's doing this for content at this point, then perhaps, because maybe the cost of the Labubus is outweighed by the engagement and TikTok revenue or whatever. But there's always more to strive for, more to collect, right? And even aside from each individual series, they're going to keep making different versions or different drops, and it's just never going to end. You could get yourself into the other series, right? Like if you're waiting for new Labubus, if your collection is complete and you just feel that itch again, they've got countless other series of even the plush pendants for your bags or whatever, right? Like it really, really never ends. And I mean, on reflection, I was just talking about being privileged enough to avoid the kind of struggle of not being able to get one for retail price just by paying a few dollars over retail price. But I actually wonder if that is part of the draw in itself of these Labubus. I've watched countless consumer critical pieces of content, you know, long form videos about them and how I guess they're embodying the lipstick effect, where in times of economic crisis, people turn to these cheaper goods or affordable goods, right? Like houses are out of reach, kids are out of reach, both of which I actually currently have. We don't own our house outright in terms of having a mortgage, but like I live in a house, you know, we're paying for a house and we have kids, so I have everything. But in times of economic crisis, I guess the lipstick effect is a phenomenon where people will buy cheaper goods or goods that are attainable, but little luxuries, you know, things that people don't really need. So things like a lipstick, things like a Labubu. And despite having, I guess, the American dream in terms of the kids, the house, the car, whatever it might be, I mean, we still have to continue to work and pay for these things. And it feels a little bit like a financial crunch, even for us right now. Probably even after I get my raise, although I don't have it yet. You know, I don't get paid over summer. So when my job starts again, maybe I'll feel a little more actual financial freedom and wiggle room to save, which is my goal, as I discussed in my why of the no-buy year starting in July. I mean, I feel like a caricature of myself at this point, but we're sticking to it. I believe in myself. I have to believe in myself because otherwise, you know, how am I going to make any progress here? But I think that could actually be part of the factor here, the lipstick effect, feeling this illusion that I have more money than I do, you know, the privilege, the wealth, the freedom that I can buy whatever I want and it's no consequence, right? The YOLO effect kicking in here, even paying the resale price, right? You know, it's like, oh, I'm just going to, the thrill of the dopamine, right? Like just click the button and pay the $170 or whatever it is, you know, like, ooh, you know, the thrill of being irresponsible in some ways, I guess, plays into it too. Pretending to be rich enough to not have that have any consequences. And I'm going to be honest here, I did also start feeling the general pull of Pop Mart collecting in general. So the taste of the Labubus, I guess, and then visiting the Pop Mart website and seeing that getting a Labubu there was impossible, but maybe getting another category of products was a possibility, something I could do and just, you know, buy it off the website and start collecting a different series. But mostly the things that are in stock are the figurines. And this is not shade to people who like collecting figurines, but it's never been something that I've been into. And for whatever reason, a plastic figurine to me does seem more like a useless piece of junk, even though it's no more useless piece of junk than a plush thing, right? Like, for whatever reason, it's just a personal thing. I'm not trying to yuck on your yum if you like the plastic figurines, but for me, I have my own reasons to keep the perception that it's a useless piece of junk plastic. Like, I want to keep believing that for myself, because I don't want to fall into the trap of deluding myself into thinking that I think those are cool as an innate kind of character feature, right? The Labubus I managed to do that with, and, you know, whether it's totally delusion or partly purchase that actually does fit in with my character, and if I weren't trying to do a no-buy, it would have been okay, whatever, you know, like, that's kind of where that's at. But the plastic figurines, I know that would be a deluded purchase. That would be a case of wanting to participate, wanting to shop, wanting to pursue that desire, wanting to, you know, if I bought a blind box, it would be engaging in that, ooh, am I going to get the one I like the most, or am I going to get one that I don't want? Am I going to be frustrated? Am I going to ride that emotional roller coaster of, I guess it's kind of generating some artificial excitement in a life that's possibly not exciting or not joyful or not, you know, a lot of us are living in a social climate of anxiety right now. And so that kind of artificial roller coaster of ups and downs and frustrations at something insignificant, right? Like, perhaps this is the societal storm that makes something like a Labubu incredibly effective, because if just for a little while you get that distraction, you know, maybe even more than a little while, right? Like, you make your Labubu order. If you don't do that pop now where you can see what it is, if you just order a box, you don't know what it is. And so you got that anticipation, and then you open it, the anticipation continues, and you can, I mean, honestly, the community is so large now, you can watch unboxings on social media and get that kind of secondhand dopamine roller coaster, right? Watching that series where that one creator was trying to find the pink one. I wasn't following in real time. I just found it when I was contemplating doing this video, which I did actually kind of hem and haw about, because it was like, is it my place to make a video on the Labubus as somebody who fell for it? But then maybe I should, because I am somebody that engaged with this and can explore the emotions from the inside out, right? Like, somebody still in the trenches. So anyway, I didn't see it in real time, so I wasn't cheering her on necessarily. All the videos were up on her page when I looked, and I just was able to cut to the end of the story where she ended up getting 3 of the pink ones that she wanted. So more duplicates again, more work to do to resell the ones that she didn't actually want to keep or give them away, or however she handles those. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's like a reality TV show at this point, right? There's a lot of content, there's drama to follow, there's the roller coaster of ups and downs and what's going to happen next kind of thing. Is somebody going to get the secret? Is she going to get the secret? I don't think there's any videos of that currently on her channel, but if she's going to keep on doing that journey, I think I actually have seen videos where it's like, we're going to buy my wife a Labubu until she gets a secret. And that's a whole series on this creator's channel. If I found it, I'll put it up here. And again, I know that production of goods is often a source of human exploitation, and that is not something that I'm okay with. I talked about it in the true cost of things, and I know that by buying things like Labubus, I had comments on this in the May video where I talked about wanting them, and somebody was saying that wanting a Labubu is a failure because, go to local artists, get a keychain from a local artist, support other things that you would actually want to support with your money, and not buying into this kind of hype and falling for it. And, I am a failure. I've admitted it before. I'm just still navigating this journey, and I'm not, I want to be true to myself. I don't want to fail, but I'm not doing anything for the sake of followers here. I am struggling to navigate my responsibilities as somebody sharing on a public platform, to be honest. But I have realized that no matter what I do, there will be some negative repercussion of it or some negative perception. And so here we are today. I'm not speaking from a position of being holier than thou. I am in the trenches. I am in the underworld. And again, there are other company practices that I don't really love, the blind boxes, the artificial scarcity, creating that demand. And I'm sure that by putting my money into this company, and I don't know who Pop Mart is owned by, but I did just watch a Kelly Gooch video about the illusion of choice in the beauty industry. So, I'm sure that by making this choice, I'm putting my money into one of these major corporations that I don't necessarily agree with their values or want to support. And, Labubus aside, whenever we buy something, it might be funneling money into these companies. And it's difficult to have to navigate that with every single purchase we make. But then we can if we want to, this can be a factor in our decision making, and it is the reality. So, the comments about me being a failure for wanting this multi-conglomerate produced product, I don't know if that's correct to say, but, corporation produced product that's putting money into the pockets of billionaires or whatever, rather than a local artisan made, supporting my community product. It's true. It's a true comment. And I am not big enough as a person to succeed, I guess, to not be a failure in that regard and to not buy the billionaire funded product as opposed to the local one. But I'm not ready to say that that has to be everybody's perception or your perception. I don't know if I will ever be ready to make sweeping statements that way without qualifying them. It's just not really the nature of how I think and how I want to operate on any public platform. Although, like I have been saying lately, part of me does want to go no more Mr. Nice Guy and start spewing about how nobody needs this and nobody needs that. And, all of these things can be true at the same time. Nobody needs a Labubu, and I can still buy a Labubu and kind of not feel that bad about it, even though I am breaking the rules of my own challenge and feel bad about that aspect of it. And not to mention doing it in public, which is continually embarrassing. And then, there is some disconnect there about spewing about how spending $500 on a beach bag is ludicrous, and then turning around and doing the same thing, essentially, on some other aspect of life or aspect of consumerism. And I guess the other thing is, at the end of the day, spending $500 on a beach bag is not necessarily the core of the problem if that beach bag is your lifetime beach bag and you actually legitimately needed it. And I have a hard time making a case for all the accessories we see in these videos, while I personally, that's not a category of things that I can presently be influenced to buy. It is something that may serve a real purpose for some people, and I have a hard time using the blanket arguments of nobody needs this, even if it might be true, or blanket arguments of spending $500 on this category of products is ridiculous, because for some people it's not ridiculous, and maybe it should be ridiculous, but under what basis, I guess? What is the core? Because I don't necessarily believe that it's your money, you can spend it however you want. That's not a principle that I feel comfortable with. But if somebody wants to spend $500 on a beach bag setup there can be a circumstance in which that makes sense and is not just justification to shop. Most of the circumstances will be justifications to shop. But I guess philosophically, I feel uncomfortable making a sweeping judgment if there is even one exception to that judgment. And maybe that's part of the flaws in my approach to content creation in this way. But it's one of my character flaws, and maybe I'll sweep it under the rug and be no more Mr. Nice Guy and start roasting people and myself for spending a lot of money on things that nobody needs. But, you know, remains to be seen. I guess the core of the matter for me, though, regarding things like that is that, to me, the money is not the first and foremost issue, because there will be different perceptions of this no matter what price point we're talking about. You know, for some people, spending $20 on a shirt is expensive, and for other people, that is cheap. And spending $500 on a beach bag or anything that somebody doesn't strictly need, you know, buying something that nobody needs is always going to be more expensive than it needs to be, just by definition. And so, for some people out there, using the argument of you shouldn't spend this much money on this thing, it's just not going to work, because if you want to buy something, the money is not necessarily going to be what stops you every time, or what stops, depending on why you're shopping, I guess. And even if people don't have the money, I think that's a testament to this, actually, is that people go into debt. They don't have the money. They spend money they don't have. And so clearly that's already a bad decision, but there are forces at work within us, within humans, that drive us to do these things. And that's what I'm truly interested in and want to continue pursuing, getting to the bottom of, in a realistic way. And again, in my perhaps misguided view of the matter, humans as a whole are either all intelligent enough to avoid this or all stupid enough to fall for this. And that's, perhaps that's a more loaded comment than I should be getting into at the end of this video, or what I hope to be the end of this video. But to me, it doesn't really serve to look down on people, the people who use Klarna and Afterpay and have credit card debt and take out HELOCs and whatever, you know, like loans of credit on their house. And I would never do anything like that kind of thing. You know, like, I just don't think it's productive to approach it this way. I think it's, first of all, much more interesting and then compassionate and empathetic to approach it with the lens of why? Why are these people doing this? What would it take for me to do this? Two, why have I escaped? And how do we then help these people see things in a different way so that they too can escape? Let me be clear that this is not meant to reduce systemic issues into perspective shifts. I'm referring to the example of labubus and similar with this statement in this video. Because I have to think that we are either all capable of doing it or all capable of not doing it, if that makes sense. And perhaps that doesn't make sense to you. I'm also not saying that we're all going to fall for the same things, right? Like, hopefully most of you are immune to the Labubu craze in particular, and, you know, this video will hopefully have no effect in terms of influencing anybody negatively or to make the same mistake that I did. But this is perhaps something I'll have to revisit later and extrapolate on further. Again, you know, you let me know. You let me know. You be the judge. Does it make sense to you? Does it not? Do you kind of get what I'm saying as far as we're all capable? Nobody is more or less, I mean, there's nuance, right? Different people spend different times cultivating different aspects of themselves. And so people who have gone out of their way to be more aware about certain things, you know, I'm not trying to discount the effort that you put in when I say that we're all stupid enough to do this or we're all smart enough to not. So again, please don't get the wrong end of the stick. I'm sorry if I've communicated it poorly, which I'm sure for some of you I have. It's simply unavoidable that I will have missed the mark for some of you out there. Anyway, without further ado, before I continue digging this hole that I have started for myself, what a journey. We started with Labubus and ended up in a crisis of humanity. I will say bye for now, and see you in the next one.
Oh, I'm so happy I finally got a Labubu. I'm happy I got a Labubu, right? Did I even want a Labubu, or did I just want a distraction? It took me over a week of watching TikTok lives to get this. I almost got fired because of this. Why do I still feel so empty? Is it because this might be World War III? Was a Labubu just another diversion? One more colorful mask over the ache of existence? So distraction from the agony of this mortal coil? If I get drafted, this Labubu's coming with me. I'm gonna be fighting a war with a Labubu by my side. I need more Labubus.